Hello students, today we discuss about the topic utilization of research in nursing practice in research. Utilization means how we use the research in the topic to study and to use the research for the study purpose. So we have to make evidence that we have to use the research in our study. So we see in utilization of research in nursing, firstly we see the evidence practice in research utilization. Now we see the slide. Research utilization. What do you mean by research utilization? Let's see. Research utilization is the use of findings from a study or set of studies in a practical application that is unrelated to the original research. Research utilization is the finding from a study or a set of studies in a practical application that is unrelated to the original research. Second one is research utilization is the process of synthesizing, disseminating and using research generated knowledge to make an impact on or change in the existing practice in the society. That means firstly the research utilization means when we use the research to find or to gain some study knowledge or to grasp the knowledge from the study, we have to use the research, we have to use the various tools to find and to study the evaluation of the research. So when we have to use the findings from a study or set of studies in a practical form, it is been called as research utilization. Research utilization is used for synthesizing, disseminating and using research generated knowledge. That means when the research, when we go through the research process, we disseminating means we have to mess up or we have to calculate or we have to form the various calculations or we have to create certain tables or certain form of creations to make the study purposefully. So the research utilization is the synthesizing, disseminating and to generate the research knowledge. Next we see evidence-based nursing practice. In evidence-based nursing practice, or called as ABP, is the integration of best research. Second one is evidence with clinical expertise and patient. Evidence with clinical expertise and patient. Third one is values and need in the delivery of quality, cost, effective health. EBP is the integration of best research. Why? Because when we have to research or when we go for the research, we must have the evidence to study or we must having the evidence to prove our research topic or research practice. So evidence based practice is the best research option. Second one is evidence is the clinical expertise and patient. So we are from the nursing, so we have always used the clinical expertise and the patient to use as our sample or evidence in nursing research. Values and need in the delivery of quality, cost, effective health care. That means when we have to use the various articles, various sources from our society, we choose the quality and the cost effective health care services to use in our study purpose for the research. Next we see difference between research utilization and evidence based practice. Research utilization being called as RU and evidence based practice known as EBP. First we see the diagrammatic presentation of research utilization and evidence based practice. In the diagram we see the RU path or research utilization path, which is the starting point. In this, the emergence of research finding on a topic which is raised, emergence of research finding on a topic which is raised to evaluation integration of finding best research evidence, which will be seen in the previous slide. Then efforts to use findings in practical or practice RU. Then we see search for best evidence to address clinical problems, evaluation, integration of other types of evidence, that is clinical experience, patient preference, etc. Efforts to base practice on best value EBP, that we raise to the EBP path. This is all the diagrammatic presentation of the research utilization RU and evidence based practice EBP. Now we go to the next slide. Types of research utilization. In research utilization, we are having certain types of research utilization. First we see, that is indirect research utilization. Second is direct research utilization. Third one is persuasive research utilization. I'll repeat. First is indirect research utilization, second is direct research utilization, and third one is persuasive research utilization. Next we see barriers to research utilization. What are the barriers? Barriers is the bars or is the blocks which create a backflow to our research, which create problems in our research studies. So first, the barriers to research utilization is first barrier is research related barriers. First, if we are not choosing properly research sample, research study topic, or creative interest of the researcher, the research related barriers will occur. Second one is nurse related barriers. Nurse related barriers or human error or nurse error, which will be create as a nurse related barriers. Organizational barrier, institutional barrier, or when we go for a study in an institution or an organization, if any problems caused by the organization or any problems or any misconception occurs by an organization, it will be called as the organizational barrier. Then we see barriers related to nursing profession. What are the barriers related to nursing profession? Because we always study from the, or we always go through the nursing profession research studies, because we are from the nursing. So whenever we choose beyond the nursing profession in our research practice, we see some barriers which will be solved after some uses. This will see the barriers to research utilization. We go to the next slide. First we see research related barriers. Lack of valid trustworthy research studies, lack of enough published replication. That means when we used unvalid or untrustworthy research studies, the barrier would be occurred. Lack of enough published replication, when we use the repeated versions of the research, it will be created as a barriers. So always use the unique and original research study topic for your study purpose. Next we see nurse related barriers. Lack of journal information or lack of information instruction in research, and lack of skills to judge the merit of a study. Lack of attitude towards research, resistance to change. If the nurse does not having the formal instruction or does not having the proper knowledge or skills to create a study or research, it will be a barrier. Lack of attitude, nurse will, if nurse is not interested in the research topic, certain research topic, so it will be become a barrier. Research to resistance to change, if a nurse wants to change in to a topic, so it will be created as a barrier. Next we see barriers related to nursing profession. Shortage of role models, lack of perception from nurses that they are independent professional, unable to motivate students by nurse educators. Nursing profession barriers means shortage of role models. If our nursing students were not study properly or if our nursing professions were are not role models of their own, so the barrier become, because we are not choosing our professionals expertise uh, advice, so we create a barrier for our own study. Lack of perception means if the nurses does not having any perception or goal in their mind, so it will be unable to study a research, unable to motivate students by nurse educator. If the nurse educator were not motivating the students or not motivating the nursing professions persons, so how they were motivating to the study, it will become a barrier. Next we see organizational barrier. Organizational barrier means if any resistance occurred by the institution, it will be taken as an organizational barrier. Lack of motivation from the organization, insufficient time due to or institutional duty hours or working hours, resource constraints, lack of resource in the organization which causes a barrier, lack of strong leadership in healthcare organization. That means if any organization leadership occurs a barrier, it will be called as a organizational barrier. Next we see strategies for using research evidence. What are the strategies? Read wisely, read widely and critically, then always attend professional conference, always learn to expect evidence that a procedure is effective, become involved a journal club, pursue and participate in research utilization and evidence based practice projects. Thank you. That's all for the utilization of research. I will be sending you a practice link of the set of questions related to the utilization of research. So then you have to solve and we discuss it in our study. That's all for the utilization of the research. We study it will be later as a practice.